BMW make two of the most important cars on the planet, vehicles that are benchmarked by every other car company when they're building their new production vehicles. The first is the BMW 3 Series. It definitely is the class leader in the compact luxury segment. And the other, in the midsize class, is the BMW 5 Series. With that in mind, this is the all-new BMW 5 Series, the fifth generation of this iconic car. Is it still top dog? Is it still the go-to car for drivers that want to have a lot of luxury and a lot of fun when they head out on the road? Let's see. The first thing is the styling. Now, I was a huge critic of the previous sedan, especially the bland styling and goofy rear design. This new car is much more cohesive and classy. The accent lines down the side, the sophisticated rear lights, and prominent front grille remind me of the 5 Series last sold in 2003. It might be more cohesive, but in some ways it looks too much like the current 7 Series. This current 5 Series looks a lot like the latest generation 7 Series, and there's a reason for that. It's built off a shortened 7 Series platform, and this is a big car too. It's longer, it's heavier, the wheelbase has been stretched 80 millimeters. In fact, this car is almost getting up to the dimensions of the previous generation 7 Series. The 5 Series is sold as a 528, 535, or 550. All can be equipped with either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Prices range from $54,000 all the way past $75,000, depending on options. This new 5 Series interior is so much better than the previous car. In fact, it looks so similar to the latest 7 Series. I can remember getting in this car for the very first time at an auto show. I sat in it, I looked around, it looks wide and big. I thought, am I really sitting in the 5? I actually got out and looked at the back to make sure it was the 5 Series. It's that close. The previous car was kind of stark and bland. This car looks rich. It has nice materials. The center stack is tilted slightly towards the driver. It's so much better. iDrive is front and center, and it's much better than it ever has been, providing easier use for the driver, but it can still be cumbersome when trying to change from one setting to another. The rest of the cabin feels open and big. The front seats are comfortable and supportive. The back seats have a good amount of room, but less than one might think, considering the longer wheelbase. As is the case with most BMWs, the starting price is a little bit misleading because if you want options, you have to add option packages, like sport packages, technology packages, on it goes. For example, this 550 starts in the low 70s. You add in $12,000 worth of options, you're over 85 grand. Now, since this new 5 Series has a longer wheelbase, the logical outcome is that this vehicle is more sedate and relaxing to drive. But in order to counteract that, BMW has put in dynamic drive control. You have a button here in the center, and you can push it for normal, sport, or comfort modes. I find normal and comfort a little bit too soft for my taste. I just automatically go to sport, and that seems to give me the best kind of dynamic drive I'm looking for. There is also an optional adaptive drive that counteracts the roll in the corners by applying force on the stabilizer bars, achieving almost flat cornering and no sensation in the car. Now, one of the most important sensations with any high-end car, and specifically a BMW, and specifically a 5 Series BMW, is the communication from the car back to the driver through your seat with the suspension, and also, more importantly, through the steering feel. Now, this car has electric power steering, and that meant that the engineers had to dial in just the right feel back to the driver. So it's almost like it's an artificial sensation, and at times when you drive this car, the steering feels almost too hard, like they've dialed it in to be heavy, and it shouldn't feel that way, especially when you're driving on the highway. Now, you add that into all the other electronic aids that this car has, and sometimes you feel like you're piloting the car, not driving the car. Another feature that is almost seamless is the 8-speed automatic with either sport setting or manual paddle shifts on the steering wheel. The shifts are effortless. The driver can hardly tell at times. The good news is that a 6-speed manual is still available. The engine choices are a 3-liter 6-cylinder with 240 horsepower, a new 3-liter direct injection single turbocharged unit with 300 horsepower, and this 4-liter twin turbo V8 with 400 horsepower. You just look at the throttle and this thing just hurtles down the highway. It's especially effective for highway passing. I wish we got the 528 or the 535 because more people are going to be attracted to those vehicles because of the price point. And you know what? I wish we had one without all the electronic aids that this car has to get a better representation of just how good the chassis in the car is on its own without all the gadgets. This all-new BMW 5 Series has grown in size, it's classier looking, more luxurious, but could it be that it's grown too much and become a little bit too disconnected? Could it be that BMW has moved the 5 Series away from being a driver's car to one that you merely navigate? But if that's the case, the new 5 Series will still be benchmarked by other manufacturers, but it'll be for different reasons.